Welcome to 301 Banter, a show having conversations with the finest athletes across Minnesota. We delve into the trials and tribulations of the athletes, coaches, and broadcasters that make the sports world in Minnesota tick. So whether you're a diehard sports fan or just curious to learn about different people, join us for discussions and behind-the-scenes glimpses into Minnesota's vibrant sports community.
Welcome to 301 Banter. On today's episode, I'm joined by a guy who's carved out a hockey journey that spans from Minnesota Rinks to the NHL. At St. Cloud Cathedral, he was an offensive force, piling up over 130 points in just 3 seasons, before moving on to the Tri-City Storm in the USHL. From there, he became a national champion at North Dakota, putting up 4 solid years with the Fighting Hawks. His pro career have taken him across the AHL, from San Antonio to Manitoba to a Calder Cup final run with Coachella Valley, and now as the captain of the Tucson Roadrunners. Along the way, he's also laced him up in the NHL with both the St. Louis Blues and Winnipeg Jets. Austin Poganski joins 301 Banter right now. Let's start back at the beginning. You grew up in Minnesota and playing hockey, and what initially drew you to the sport of hockey?
Yeah, I grew up in St. Cloud, Minnesota, so we had a big time college program there with St. Cloud State. So I grew up going to just about as many St. Cloud State Husky games that I could. My grandparents had tickets, then my parents had tickets too. So I kind of grew up at the rink there, watching the Huskies, hoping to play for the Huskies one day. And then I had a couple uncles that actually had ODR outdoor rinks in their backyard. So that's kind of where it all started. And then kind of the rest is history. But without my uncles and without the Huskies there in St. Cloud, I don't know if I'd be where I am today.
Yeah. It seems like a lot of kids growing up in Minnesota with the outdoor rinks is a massive part of growing up in the state of hockey too. So, like you said, you grew up in St. Cloud. You played for St. Cloud Cathedral in high school. How did playing in the high school league and at St. Cloud Cathedral help your game as it progressed through college and then into the pros?
Yeah, no, for sure. Those are such important years in your hockey career. It's kind of like that stepping stone from youth hockey to juniors. High school is a big part of that, and I really enjoyed my years at Cathedral. It's a fantastic school with academics, and we had some really good hockey teams there as well. With Coach Eric Johnson, he was there for my years, and he taught me a ton. And we had a lot of really good players there, so we made a couple of good runs. We got stumped by Hermantown just about every year, which was tough, but they were a great team too. And, I look back at those years and I grew so much as a person and as a player. And it was such a great stepping stone to my next spot in my career.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of teams were getting stumped by Hermantown over the last 20 years. So not well, again, growing up in Minnesota, that's a lot of kids' stories is getting beaten by Hermantown. And St. Cloud Cathedral specifically too has had a lot of success the last 20 years. Specifically they've won it the last twice, I think, in the last 6 years. And what's it like seeing them have the type of success that they've had?
No, it's awesome just being part of that program back in the day and seeing the success that they're having now. I mean, it's awesome. You always root for your hometown team and your high school team that you put so much time and effort into, and you've built so many connections with the coaches and even players. Now I go back, my parents still live in St. Cloud, so I see a lot of those guys and train with a lot of those guys and skate, and it's just awesome to see them have success and take the next step for their careers as well. And we like to stay in touch with a lot of those guys and see how they go throughout their careers.
Yeah, for sure. So then after St. Cloud, you went to the USHL and the Tri-City Storm. What was the atmosphere like playing in Tri-City?
Yeah, it was different. I went there my senior year of high school. I thought it was right to take that next step and kind of challenge myself and and challenge myself to be a little bit better of a player, kind of take that next step to be ready for college one day. I didn't know much about Nebraska or Tri-City or really the USHL in general, but once I got down there, it was great. I felt like it was my second home. The fans down there in Kearney, Nebraska, I don't know, their knowledge of hockey maybe wasn't the best, but they loved when there was fighting and big hits and all that kind of stuff. It was fun to kind of get them going. And once they did start going, it was cowboy or cowbell century. Like, it was awesome. They love all that rough, tough, rowdy kind of stuff. So it was a little bit different than Minnesota down there with fans and energy, but it was awesome. And I'm glad I had the experience for a year.
Yeah, and how like you said, we ended up going to UND. Um, how much of a help was Tri-City in transitioning you from the USHL to the NCAA?
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, like I said, I went to high school for a couple of years and took that next step to the USHL. And I think going to the USHL for 1 year really kind of made me prepare playing against older, more bigger fellas. It's a big jump. So I think going to the USHL for a year kind of physically gave me the ability to play against some older guys for a year and kind of brace myself and get ready for that jump to college. Because once you go to college, it's you're playing against men. Like, those guys are old. Those guys have been around for a long time. Sometimes guys are going in as true freshmen at 18, and my freshman year, I think I had a couple of guys that were like 25 years old. So, like, that's a big jump from 18 to 25. So physically your body has to be ready, and then mentally you kind of got to be all in if you're going to make that jump. So no, the USHL was great. I thought it prepared me very well to take that step to college.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, in high school too, you could be playing against, 14, 15-year-olds if they're making the team as a freshman,
Right.
and so that's, 10, 11-year age gap
Yeah.
in between the higher end of the USHL, the lower end of high school.
Right.
So you were part of the 2016 UND team that won the national championship. What made that group so special that year?
Yeah. And I mean, that was one of those years that you'll remember for the rest of your life. I mean, for sure. I still am so close with so many of those guys. The thing that kind of set us apart was that we all bought into the same goal. It's tough because you always got guys that maybe are on their own page that care more about points or care more about different things here and there. But I really think that team as a whole, we had just about everything, and we all just wanted to win. Like, it didn't matter what line you're on, what your position was. If you had 2 points or 0 points that game, like, we just wanted to win, and we kind of bought into that so early in the year. And I mean, the rest is history. And obviously, you got to give credit to some of those guys like Nick Schmaltz and Brock Besser and Drake Kajula. Like, we had the firepower that you can only imagine having all on the same team. But we also had like the likes of Paul Ledoux and Keaton Thompson and Gage Osmus, like those skilled guys, but also those guys that were willing to block 10 shots a game or sacrifice their body every single night. So, like, we had a little bit of everything, but we all bought in the same goal. We were a tight knit group, and that was probably one of the best teams all around that I've ever been a part of.
Yeah, for sure. And having, both the scoring and the depth in hockey is absolutely massive on a team for success. So
Yeah.
outside of the national championship, what is your favorite memory at UND?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many good memories. It's such a good hockey school. We get treated like kings up there. I'm actually going up to a pro camp there in a week or so, and I haven't been up there for a couple of years. So I'm extremely excited to get back up there and see all the renovations that they've done to the Ralph. I mean, the Ralph, in my opinion, is the best rink in hockey in the United States, or probably in the world. And they just manage to find ways to update it every single year, which is just crazy. So I'm excited to see that. But personally, I had a penalty shot overtime game winner against Duluth. I think it was the same year, 2016. So that personally was probably my most fondest memory. Like, just, it was electric. It was the year that we won the national championship, so that was awesome. But there's just so many good experiences and different games, and it was awesome. Those 4 years up in Grand Forks were the best years ever.
Yeah, not many opportunities where you're going to be the only one taking a penalty shot or a shootout type style goal and have it be the walk off, game winner. And
Yeah.
um, after UND, you've you know played for a couple different AHL teams. You've played in the NHL too, and how is playing for those teams shaped you as a player and a leader too?
Yeah, no, for sure. I was drafted by St. Louis, so I started down in San Antonio in the American League. I've been really fortunate to live and see some really cool areas like San Antonio and then Palm Springs, which is in the Coachella Valley in California, and now I'm down in Tucson. I've been up to Winnipeg, so I've experienced Canada. So the hockey journey has really taken me kind of all over the United States, and I've been able to see and live in some really cool spots. So I mean, that's awesome. I mean, you get paid to go live in different areas and see different things. Like, that's pretty cool. You meet a lot of different and awesome friends, teammates, coworkers, whatever you want to call it. Like, you meet a lot of really cool people along the way. So that's awesome. And you learn other people's stories and how they made it to where they are, and you can kind of use that as experience and lessons that you can kind of teach to the younger guys. Because now I'm a little bit older in the American League, so I'm more looked at as a leader and someone that can kind of mend and kind of help those young guys make that step into pro hockey and one day be a big part of the NHL. So yeah, I've definitely learned a lot and been around a lot of really awesome and talented hockey players, and hopefully I can teach the younger generation a couple of things myself.
Yeah, and we had Nate Prosser on the show, a couple months ago, and he was talking about when he was playing for the Houston Aeros, obviously not a team anymore, but he was talking about how great it was to be able to walk outside in January in shorts and flip flops. So I
Yeah.
got to imagine that that's an added benefit of playing in Tucson or San Antonio. And
Yeah, for sure. But it is a little weird though when it gets closer to Christmas and there's no snow on the ground. It's like, all right, is it actually Christmas time or what's going on here?
yeah, yeah. So you mentioned Coachella Valley. You were able to make it to the Calder Cup Finals with them. How did that playoff run compare to the national championship run with UND?
Yeah, I know it's a lot of similarities, but there's also a lot of differences. In college hockey, it's single elimination pretty much the whole way. Besides that first like playing round in your division in college or in the NCHC, I think it's a best out of three, and then it's single elimination from there. So it's a little bit different in college, whereas in the American League, I think it was best out of three, and then best out of five, best out of five, best out of seven, best out of seven. So it's the American League one was a grind. It's a lot of extra games. I think it came out to an extra 20, 25 to 30 extra games. So it's a grind, but it was awesome. Like once you get into a run like that and you feel like you got the team to do it, like it's awesome. It's something that you can't really explain until you're part of it and go through it. But yeah, I mean, being down at Coachella, which we were treated so well, the weather was great, and you're playing hockey, making a run in the playoffs, like it was awesome. It was really cool.
Yeah, and in that Calder Cup Finals, you went 7 games against the Hershey Bears, and Hershey always seems to be top of the attendance leaders for the AHL. What was it like going into their barn as an opposing player?
Yeah, no, it was really cool. Just like you said, they lead the league, I think, in attendance just about every year. I don't exactly know how many they fill, but that rink was filled every time we were there. I think we played there 3 games, and then back in Coachella, our fans were awesome too. I think our building was sold out for a majority of the second half of the season and playoffs too. So it was two perfect places to have the final. There in Hershey and there in Coachella. So the fans were great. The hockey was great. Unfortunately, we didn't quite get it done, but it was a great run and a lot of memories and a lot of awesome games that we were part of in that run.
Yeah, and then you were able to make your NHL debut with the team that drafted you, the St. Louis Blues. What do you remember most about that whole experience in that first game in the NHL?
Yeah, I know. I mean, that's why you do it. That's why you play hockey. Your dreams are always to play in the NHL to experience that. And I mean, it was awesome. It was my second year in San Antonio, and I think I was actually grocery shopping and got the call that I was coming up. So I didn't really know what to do. I just left my cart full of stuff and got out of there as quick as I could and called my parents and all that kind of stuff. So no, it was awesome. And then my first game was in Buffalo, so pretty cool historic place there in Buffalo. I mean, it was awesome. We actually St. Louis got scored on. We got scored on early in the game, so I didn't play a ton that game, but just being part of it and making that debut and saying that you play in the NHL for that one game was really awesome, and it's something that I remember for the rest of my life.
Yeah. Yeah, you can always say, you step on the ice at least once during the game. You can always say you play in the NHL.
Right. Yep. Yep.
Um, so currently you're heading into the third season in Tucson with the Roadrunners, the Utah Mammoth
Yep.
AHL team. How has it been there in Tucson with the fans and teammates?
Yeah, no, it's great. We've had a great team the last couple of years. And it's a great city. It's a kind of a fun city. You got University of Arizona right there downtown Tucson, and it's also kind of like a snowbird destination for I think a lot of Western Canadians or Western Americans that like to go south in the winter. So you kind of got a little bit of both. You can go downtown and have a couple beverages, or you can kind of stay on the outskirts and hit up some golf courses and get in the sun too. Like I said, the weather's so great down there. But no, our team has been great facility. The fans down there are awesome. They love their Tucson Roadrunner hockey, so that's cool. We got a good following. And yeah, no, I look forward to going back there the last couple of years. So it's kind of a great place to call home for the last couple 3 years and maybe longer. We'll see.
Yeah, and you touched on this next one a little bit earlier. This upcoming season will be your second as the Tucson captain. What does it mean to you that the team puts enough trust in you to wear the C?
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, it's a true honor to be an assistant captain, and leader of any team at any level, and to be a captain of an American League team. It's really special. It shows a lot that, like you said, the coaches and the players respect and trust my judgment and my voice in the locker room there. So no, it's awesome. It like I said, it shows just that they care about me as a player and as a person, and they trust me as a player and a person. But it is a lot of responsibility to kind of, like I alluded to earlier. It's now my job to lead those young guys, because the American League's more of a developmental league, to get those young guys and even older guys to the NHL to be ready to help the NHL team win some games. So it's a lot of responsibility to make sure that they're staying on task and they're acting as pros and as young gentlemen. So yeah, no, it's awesome. It's truly just like a gift. It's you can't take it for granted, because before you know it, our time will be done. So it's awesome, and we're looking forward to another great year.
Yeah, yeah. So then looking back at your entire career, who has had the biggest impact on it?
Ooh, wow, that's a tough question. You meet so many different coaches, players, veterans in pro hockey, older guys in college. I mean, I can't pinpoint it to a couple. The last couple of years, I've been really close with Nate Schmidt. He's been another guy from St. Cloud, just won a Stanley Cup. He's been great. We did a lot together in Winnipeg when we were there for a year together, and then we live close, so we hang out, go to cabins every weekend together. So he's been a big influence on me. Being a St. Cloud guy, he was kind of that role model to look up to at a younger age, to show that it is possible. And then just so many old guys like Chris Butler, Chris Thorburn, different older guys that I met in San Antonio, that those were the captains when I was there. And even in my St. Louis days, Braden Shen and Ryan O'Reilly, they're great to us younger guys. So that means so much to a young guy when an old guy takes you out for dinner or just asks you how you're doing, because they don't have to do that, but they take a little time out of their day. But no, so many great coaches with Dave Hackstall and Brad Barry, Dane Jackson, North Dakota. They were great. I mean, the list goes on and on. I could reference so many people, but no, it's been awesome. It's so many different friendships that I'll have for the rest of my life for sure.
Yeah, and again, over the course of your career, doesn't matter what level it is, who is the toughest player you've had to go up against?
Oh, toughest player. I mean, the easy one would be like played against McDavid and Crosby. Like those guys are just, you can't even start to explain that. But I'm just trying to think, like in college. I mean, Jack Eichel was a monster in college. He was tough to play against. He was just so fast, so lengthy. He was goofy to play against. But no, I mean, like in the NHL, obviously my top league. You got to say, I mean, McDavid. Even McKinnon was his power and speed out of the hole. Like you gotta do a couple of prayers before going on the ice with him because you don't have a chance to stay with him. So luckily I wasn't the matchup against him when I played against him, or else we would have had some issues. But yeah, McKinnon, McDavid, the usuals, as you could imagine. Like those guys are just different.
Yeah, yeah. Like you said, the McDavid and McKinnon, their speed too is.
Nutty.
I mean, that's why McDavid was able to win the fastest skater at the NHL skills competition year in and year out, it seems. And
Right.
um, we've got one final question here for you, and it's one we ask almost everybody that comes on here. So, what advice do you have for young hockey players looking to play past high school?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. I think the biggest advice that I would have is there's no right path. Like everybody has their own path, everybody has their own journey. There's not one set in stone way to make it to the USHL or to make it to college or to make it to pros. There's going to be bumps in the road. There's going to be adversity. If there's no adversity, then you're probably not doing it right. There's no perfect story that gets you to where you want to be. So you got to use that adversity and those bumps in the road as lessons, and you got to learn from them and keep going. Like if you don't get drafted, work a little bit harder to show that you should have been drafted, and you'll still get there. So like I said, there's no right path to follow. There's no right journey, but just keep your nose down and keep working.
Yeah, and even if you were a late round pick too, it's the same thing. I think Henrik Lundqvist was like a seventh or eighth round pick, and now he's going to the Hall of Fame. And
Right.
Yeah, and it seems like everybody, at least from Minnesota, starts with the outdoor rink, backyard rink, and then it expands from there.
I mean, that's what we pride ourselves on in the ODRs in Minnesota. That's where you learn all your skills and you have fun and you're just playing as kids. Like that's what I looked forward to back in the day. I'm a little bit, I don't have a lot of time to get out there now just being down south, but I mean, when I have kids and I have a baby daughter now, when she gets a little bit older and we can go on the ODR, like can't wait for that. That'll be awesome.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you for taking the time today to sit down and chat with us.
Yeah, I know that was awesome. Thanks for having me.
Massive thank you to Austin Poganski for taking the time to sit down today and talk. We wish him the best in this upcoming season and will be watching the rest of his career. Thank you to those who watched this episode. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel. It really helps me out a lot. Comment down below to see who you want on the show. Thanks again for watching, and we will see you next time. Peace.